Hello, everybody. Welcome to the spot, the Stacked After Hours spot. I am your host, Natalie Cosby, and welcome to the show for Grown Folks Talk. Tonight, we are talking. Our conference show was actually about was Kevin Samuels right, and are women responsible for their singleness? So y'all get ready. Let's get those cocktails. Keep those fingertips loose because y'all been keeping them loose all week. And get your questions and comments for tonight's show because here at SAL, we always like to keep it what? Lit and enlightening. So let's get into it. There's my girl Sunshine. So tonight we've kind of changed it up a little bit. This week we decided to address all these controversial so-called relationship experts and how it has affected the outlook of Black women in relationships. So me and Sunshine are gonna have a little girl talk tonight before we bring in our guests, which we'll bring in a few. But we want to really address some of the commentary that was going on this week. And we got accused. First of all, we got accused of hating Black women. I'm like, Sunshine, I can't. I was like, wow, because we decided to address the things that are uncomfortable about our singleness. But go ahead, Sunshine.
Yeah, that was actually very touching for us as Black women, and knowing that we treasure and cherish ourselves. But apparently the word or the name Kevin Samuels is probably synonymous with. I've heard a lot of things like Saddam Hussein, hating Black women. So just want to dispel whatever it is everybody thought that we're going to be discussing tonight.
Right. I think one of the things I think that was really important about tonight's show is it's somewhat of a take back. I started this show originally because I was home during the pandemic watching Kevin Samuels because I was home with my mama bored. And I was like, the conversation is not two-way, but it was triggering to me and I wanted to address why. Right. So that was one of the things. It's just like we're not hating. We are about healing in Stacked After Hours, but also addressing our truths and why we still triggered about certain things. So it's really important for us to kind of, as we're talking about, take ownership, owning our part in the relationship. So that's why we're tonight really talking about our singleness. I mean, Anthea, when you think about it, has it been hard for you to just own what's been going on in your
Yeah,
relationships?
yeah, and some of the things that Kevin Samuels has said is not all wrong. But like you said, we're not here to talk about Kevin Samuels tonight. We're here to talk about owning up to some of the things that we know is an issue. So, like,
Yep.
weight is something that he continuously talks about. And, if I watched his podcast on weight, and
Hmm.
what he said was that we all don't need to be skinny, but we need to be working towards good health.
Right.
Right. So it's hard to hear sometimes, but it's the truth.
Yeah. I think as and we, we're all about this black girl magic and all of that. And we believe in that, but there's also a sense of accountability that we have to bring to ourselves about what we really want and what we want. Are we matching what we want? And if we are
Yes.
not matching that, then do we really, not saying we deserve whatever we want, but what are we actually putting out there? Right?
Yeah.
Because if it doesn't match it, then whatever. Hey, everyone. Michelle said it's about to go down. It is about to go down, girl. Yes, it is. It is. Michelle was the first one. She was like, child. When we put it up there, I was like, yes, girl, I know.
Yeah, that was funny.
It
She
was funny, but I think, and so yeah, Kevin Samuels. I think what the thing about Kevin Samuels, and I don't want to harp on him too long, but I think the thing is what he did is he disclosed a lot of stuff that I feel like black men, especially black men, have been quietly been talking about in the barbershops and with their boys about things about why they won't marry a certain type of woman. I was telling my girls earlier of a family member of mine kind of hipped me to like, girl, you ain't as tight as you think you are. And I was like, that hurt. It hurt. It really hurt. But I think the thing is, it's just like, let's talk about what we're responsible for and how we can really move in a direction where we can be like, okay, I am everything, and everything is not always going to be together. We know that.
yeah.
But I did one of the, yep. But I think it's like, how are we, and I think women sometimes are even harder on ourselves about
And
other
each
women
other,
versus, yep, go ahead, Anthea.
each other, because some we are dressing, we are putting ourselves together, not for the man, just because we want our girls to see, well, look, this is, you got the new outfit, you got the new lipstick. We're dressing for the girls, actually, not the guys. But I just wanted to talk about some of this week's commentary. Can I
Yes, go ahead,
just,
girl. Go
just
into
give
it.
an
Yes.
example of some of the things we were hearing this week that obviously was triggering to a lot of people? Of course, they accused us of hating Black women, not owning our part in relationships. And another question was, why would we reference Kevin Samuels on our show? Another one was, the convincing us that he was equally hard on men, and to me, that was like, does not negate all of the disrespect that he had on women. And also trying to figure out what a high value man is.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the a lot of his shows talks about women who are looking for high value men. Can I just give a couple of examples of what
Go
he
ahead,
talked
girl.
about?
Yes, because Michelle said she got triggered.
I know.
Yep.
So,
Yep. We all did. Yep. Go
yeah,
ahead,
yeah,
Anthea.
we did. Yeah. So, a couple of things that he talked about as a high value man. It's a high value man is determined by the market. So that is exactly why there is not one specific answer to what is a high value man. Secondly, a high value man, if I hear the word six figures again, I think I'm going to throw up.
Ah!
But apparently, he needs to make six figures. He also needs to make $10,000 per month over like around a 5 year period. So that
Yeah.
shows consistency. Has to have group acceptance with great network. So if he's a high value man, he's going to have all the high value friends around him. And then there's visibility. So you have to know how he's making his money. So it has to be LinkedIn appropriate. So what's the position and an income associated with that position. And then lastly, he says a high value man has to be useful to groups and others. They have to have influence and ability to influence
Mhm.
others. And
So
so to me, that just seems like it's quite a big group of men that fall into that category. But one thing he's now not mentioned for men as high value men is their weight and their age.
yeah, because
Hmm.
I guess they're, but with us, there's a lot of factors because of childbearing years and other things like that. But we're gonna get into that because we want to really bring in our panel to talk more about it. But keep those comments, y'all, because we really wanted. Yes, because Nino said a high value man equals same as is equal to a high value woman. Yeah,
Yes, I agree,
I
but not
agree.
not in this person's case. This person has clearly set a different value for high value women than high value men. I'm not
Right,
going to go into what he said what a high value woman is, but
right.
it's basically a support to the high value man.
Right. The arm candy and everything else,
Yeah.
along with what do we say, fit, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. So let's go ahead and introduce our panel. So tonight we have he is back. He is smart. He is fly, and he was he single of the week or something?
He
He was
is
photo of the week,
handsome
swinging
and
them
he's
swinging that hair like it was going to be in Antigua. Mr. Keith Walker, welcome, Keith.
yeah.
Hey
And
everyone, good evening. How y'all doing? Well, thank you ladies
hey,
for having us.
new to the show. She's not new to Stacked After Hours, but she's new to the YouTube show. She is my friend. She is my sister. She is smart. She's actually brilliant. Dr. Monica White. Oh, and also she's a plant-based. She's becoming a plant-based influence. So Dr. Monica White. Hey, Monica.
Hey,
And then, of
man.
course, we can't do this show without her. We call him Unc. He rattles our feathers. He keeps us in check, but he also makes us think. Uncle Jeff Brown, come on into the room, honey.
So I think we have some technical issues. It looks
We have
like
some
we
technical
lost
issues
him
with
on
Jeff. So Jeff is coming. Jeff is coming,
his
but we
phone.
also, yep. But we also have our youngin, our millennial that also keeps us on our toes. Schoolboy, aka Kofi. Hey, Kofi. So,
Hey.
Good
let's
evening.
yeah, yeah. Let's go ahead and jump right into this. So, I wanted to start out with our point of view, or your point of view, when you meet a black woman who is over, he says 35, we're over 40, but I'm gonna keep it 35 because we do have one. It's saying that they're single. What is your response, or Monica or Antheo? What is your point of view of singleness over 40?
For men or women?
Women, for women, because we're talking about women tonight. We're gonna stay on us tonight.
Good, good, good.
We're gonna keep it about us.
Um, I think we have more choices now. I think back in the day, our parents, fed us this belief that if we were not, linked to a man, that we were not as valuable as we should be. And I think we've found out along the way and over the years that we're just as valuable and without a man, and we have opportunities to get one if we want to, but it's the one that we want maybe sometimes our barriers to being in a relationship.
Mm. Monica, what has been your point of view of singleness now?
I mean, it's a demographic point. It's my marital status, right?
Mhm.
So that is all that it is. And in terms of um, that status being some window into my worth as a woman, like
Yes,
I have not made that connection.
yes,
You okay? Okay.
yes.
Are you talking about in terms of marital status or just in being?
Yeah, I mean, putting this in the context of high value, being leftover, uh, etc. Like I don't walk around feeling that,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
you know, um, because of my marital status, right? Because I don't, while I can own how I feel about or what I think about being single, I can't just, you know, change that. It takes two to tango, right? So you can be in a loving, committed relationship, which I'm not
Mm-hmm.
currently in. Have to put that out there. Um,
Girl,
and
put it
you
out
can
there, girl.
be in one of those, um, and you can't flip the switch on it,
Right.
right?
Right.
So that's not something that I can do in and of myself. But where I'm responsible is hanging around in a spot where I can't flip the switch, which I have done
Mm,
for too long.
mm.
That's what I own in
We gonna
terms of
I like
my my singleness.
yes, yes, yes. So men, so my brothers, I want to ask you the question, but when a woman tells you you meet somebody, she's over 40, she's never been married. What is your perception? Your perception.
Well, I think one of the first things is trying to understand why someone's never been married. And I think, and sorry, schoolboy, to go into it, but it's just trying to understand what their life journey has led them to. Because I think, to Monica, to your point, it's not only is it a demographic, but it's also a state of mind. And when I say that, meaning that you could be married and still move like you're single and treat things like you're single. So for me, I just really want to know why they've been single so long and why they've never been married and what their history has gotten them to that point.
I
Do
feel
you
like that.
look at them as like spoiled goods or
I
something
feel
like
like there's
that?
a scarlet letter.
Yeah.
No, because I mean, I think the flip side too, from a guy's perspective, the same question could come back to me. Well, why are you single or why are you divorced? All of those
Mhm.
things go into trying to understand that person, and trying to understand their life choices too. Because if you're trying to get with somebody, you want to understand a little bit about their past, their present, and what their future looks like. If you're curious. If you're not curious, then obviously you don't ask those questions. But to me, I'm an inquisitive person, so I always want to know and try to learn and say, okay, well, is there something that you did that I don't know about that may enlighten me?
Mm, mm. Kofi, what about your generation? When you hear a sister who is older, what do you say? Because I know you are Kevin. You are,
Hey, don't typecast me.
Go ahead, Kofi. Lord have mercy.
No,
Go
no, no, not.
ahead.
I will say, when I see a woman over 40 who's never been married, my immediate thought is that she's probably a disciplinary problem. And let me explain.
What?
Oh Lord.
She's probably a disciplinary problem. What I mean by that is this: like men, and I'm not, I think men, generally speaking, we all have our nuances and things like that, but most all of men don't want a whole lot of drama. I'm not trying to go back and forth and arguing and screaming with a woman. And sometimes I feel like if a woman's over 40 and she hasn't found a man out of all the men in the world, all the men she's been around, to be able to put up with her crazy, maybe her crazy is just too much. And when I say
Wow.
hold on. When I
Go
say crazy,
ahead.
when I say crazy, I don't mean that to say that all women are crazy, but I'm
Right.
saying that all human beings have a little bit of crazy. And
Okay.
what someone told me that made a lot of sense was you're looking for somebody who's crazy doesn't make your crazy crazier.
Yeah, it matches.
Right. So even like I have friends and women who I speak to, and I'm like, sometimes they go far left. Like I ask a question and there's like a response that doesn't match the question. And I'm like, what the heck was going on? Some of them, when they get to that point, I can say, okay, well, that's just how she's feeling at the moment. We can come back to this later. But some of them just take it too far. And I'm like, okay, I'm just not gonna talk to them anymore. So it makes me think that she is in that other group where she goes too far so often. Because I mean, my thing is this: at 40 years old, most women have had pretty significant relationships throughout their life. It's not like they most women aren't 40-year-old virgins. So that means that there have been men who have been willing to be around them, deal with their issues, et cetera, et cetera. But they just couldn't seal the deal to keep that thing together. It really makes me start to think, well, maybe the things that they're doing when they get angry, maybe the things that they do when they get frustrated and nervous and things like that. It really doesn't really mesh well with a stable environment for a man. And men and women want stability. You don't want somebody flying off the handle. So it makes
Yes,
me think she's a
Jeff.
disciplinary problem, or
God.
she might have a health issue that causes like you get into the mix and then you have that conversation. Oh
Okay.
well, I have this and third.
I got you, Kofi. And Jeff, yes, I did
Good
ask.
recovery.
Yes, thank you, Jeff. So no, Jeffrey. Jeff. Uncle Jeff.
Uncle Jeff.
Yeah, I keep trying to
You're good, brother.
You good.
Well, try one more time to unmute,
Try
Jeff.
one more time to unmute Uncle
We
Jeff.
know you on your Android.
We right. Your Andrew. You got it?
I wasn't muted.
There you go.
Okay, there we go.
There we go.
All
Go
right,
ahead.
I'm not touching shit. Okay.
Don't touch it.
Um, with love, with okay, one, when you run across a woman of a certain age who has not been married, yes, that's exactly what we think. That as attractive as you are, as grounded as you are, as wonderful as you are in this conversation, as big a deal as marriage has been made in this framework, for you to not be. We're just waiting on the other shoe to drop or for you to be honest about it. We don't care what it is. We'll try to even deal with it if we like you enough. It's the covering it up. It's the covering it up. It's the putting the spin on it. It's the looking for the right way to say it, the cool euphemisms that go with whatever you don't like. That's what it is.
Mm, mm.
Men are repulsed by the cool euphemisms you use to cover up whatever it is you don't like about yourself. Just come straight on up the street. We all over 40. I got a bad temper. I I fly off the handle, but you know what? I'm working on myself and I see myself. That's the most important thing to us is that you see yourself. And here's a prime example of it. I don't think as soon as bruh man brought up the word crazy, the recoil in this room was not unlike what I say about bullies, which I also say about the Jewish community. They are so gangster, they got people scared to compliment them. You know how gangster you got to be for people to be scared to say you got on nice shoes because they think you're gonna take theirs? That is the feminine energy that I just saw. He said crazy. Oh my God, none of us are crazy. How dare he say that? Crazy, that's foul. I don't know anybody crazy. Where would he get that? Was the energy that I felt as if we said one of y'all was crazy. But to the
Exactly.
contrary, two women we profoundly respect
Right.
stood up for and circled the wagons around the crazy heifers. Just happened. That's the issue we have.
Right. And I
So,
think
Go ahead. Janice Adams just said, I really think we need to listen to a man's perspective. It's tough
that's
to
exactly where
hear,
I was going,
but
man.
it's really helped her grow, helped me grow. Go
Yeah.
ahead, Keith.
Yeah, no, that's exactly the point that I was trying to make. And I was, giving Kofi props for, schoolboy for cleaning up what he was saying, because just what he said triggered everybody, and that is something that I've learned to watch out for those signs in women, especially those that are over 40. If you don't listen first and you react, then my brain is immediately saying exactly what Kofi said and exactly what Jeff said. Not necessarily a discipline problem, but there's something going on with you when you can't take the time to hear what I'm trying to say and you're immediately reacting. Because to me, that's something that we do as kids, not as a grown ass adult. You got to be able to listen and understand and absorb before you start reacting. And that's one of the issues that we have in relationships.
I
And one of the yardsticks we use for disqualifying you.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think the one of the things is what I see a lot is a lot of trauma with Black women about you got to be this, you got to do that, you got to have everything on point, and it's exhausting at times. Like, I think from the weight to this to the weight to age to you got to be married, and if you're not married, if you don't get married by this time, you're leftovers. And we may have even felt that, but it's just like I feel like sometimes we always feel like we have to save face, and that's probably why sometimes we don't want to like always admit everything that is. I mean, I'm just speaking, I'm not saying all, but I do feel like sometimes that's what ends up happening. I want the ladies to kind of speak to just their what was said by the gentleman. I'm gonna start with you, Mon.
Energy. But I'll be perfectly honest, the crazy comment wasn't the part that made me recoil. it was the very first statement about disciplinary problem,
Mm-hmm.
because the phrase disciplinary problem to me automatically sets up a power dynamic, right? So when I think about disciplining, I'm thinking about children, a house pet, you know. So, but because I'm open, like I can't be faulted for like bristling, right? But at the same time, I just, okay, Monica, let the brother speak. And then as he continued to speak, right? So talking about the grown ass people, grown ass adults, we keep saying we are that. We're also human, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we should be allowed to react, but can you make that switch, right? And if we automatically are um, like eliminate, it's one of the reasons why I don't like um, online dating apps, because I'm real discriminate when it comes to the apps, right? I'm swiping left on people where if I met them in person, I would be more forgiving um, of what I'm actually reading, saying, etc. But the app kind of gives you the distance, right, to just be more discriminate. And so I wouldn't do that in real person. So talking about um, being mature and being open to be able to hear that and just be allow the other individual to go say, "Oh, child, that was a lot," but I'm a listen. I'm a listen to you. And then it's like when we get to the end of it, I'm like, okay, that is his perspective. I don't have to like it or love it, but I hear what he's saying, and I've heard it from other individuals. It's just unfortunate, though, that you see someone over 40 and say, well, they must be X, whatever that X is, right? Because I know if I meet a man um, over 40 who's single, and I know you're keeping it on the ladies tonight or whatever, but I am wondering, just because mathematically it figures like they have more options,
Mm-hmm.
just statistically speaking. So I don't know.
Yeah. Go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah, I was gonna.
And Doc, I say the following with love. Uh, I think where the disconnect comes from within the conversation with disciplinary is the definition of a disciplinary problem. That starts with the root word discipline. Discipline is the ability
Absolutely.
to tell oneself no.
Mm-hmm.
That has nothing to do with the punitive end of disciplinary, has nothing to
Yes.
do with the punishment end of
Mm-hmm.
disciplinary. Disciplinary problem is about the inability for the woman to control herself. This gets over into, I need a man who can handle me. Where in my feeble thinking, I'm working with a Chicago high school public education from the 80s and Mythbusters.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Go ahead.
But when I hear handle me, the only things that I know that need handling are problems, animals, and luggage.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have to handle you. And that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a disciplinary problem, a problem with you telling yourself no, a problem with you being able to tell yourself, I have an issue with my man, but this is his auntie's funeral. So no. That's what we're discussing when we say disciplinary problem. And to close, with regard to a power dynamic,
Okay.
woe be unto the woman who thinks that she can live a lifetime with a man without one that puts her second sometime. Yes, there's a power dynamic. That man that you want to be your equal will make you freaking miserable and you won't know why. It is because he does everything you say, or a lot of what you say, or everything's done by committee. In a leadership position, I do not have the time for idle chit chat for each one of the things that we have to do. Sometimes you're going to have to take my no the same way you take it from your boss, the same way you take it from a judge, because I don't have the time to talk about it right now. And if I have to discuss with you everything I do, if every decision I make, or most of them, have to be run through your social TRW, well, then who's the leader? Perhaps you need another man. That's the way we look at that.
And by you, you mean general you. You're not talking to me right now specifically, are you?
I can't hear.
She said you're not
Hello?
speaking to her specifically. You're talking about in general with women, with sisters.
Well, both. That's a
Because
yes.
I didn't
When
say
you
any
said
of
that
what you
you had an
just.
issue with disciplinary, I think it had to do with the first place you went to was a child, an animal. And to go to those places implies that there's a subservient position that is about to be penalized. That was the side of disciplinary that I got. Perhaps I was wrong. I thought disciplinary when I heard him, all I heard, but then again, I'm hearing like a man.
Yes, yes. So
Like
I want,
he said disciplinary problem, I knew right what he meant. He did not mean putting his woman in a corner. He meant a woman being able to tell herself no.
Right.
Was that what you meant, Kofi?
is that what you meant, Kofi?
Yeah, and I appreciate that. I think he said it a better. He made it more succinct. But that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about her ability to control herself. I'm saying that she might have a discipline problem. That doesn't have anything to do with me. And I can't really punish a woman who has a disciplinary problem. All I can do is stay away from her. So what I mean by that, so I'll give an actual personal example. And I think Jeff made a good example as well when he said, I'm at my aunt's funeral and this woman has a problem with me. She's going to bring it up right here. And this isn't the place or time. So in a former relationship, I had similar issues where we're in public and a lady comes to like literally I had a woman who we would be sitting at a restaurant at the table and she didn't like the way I interacted with the waitress because I said thank you, have a good, all right, and I did that. Oh, why are you smiling all up in her face? Now I have a problem in a crowded restaurant with this woman. I'm paying for her meal and we're supposed to be having a good time. Like, why are we arguing about me being friendly to the person handling our food? Not me trying to get her number, not me trying to flirt with her, me being cordial with this person. She was insecure. You know, that person had insecurity issues. So she was insecure and that caused a problem. But for me, it rung a bell in my head. This could go really far left. And if I have to keep dealing with these type of issues when I'm in public or even in private, it's going to turn into something that I can't handle. I don't want to handle. I mean, I can, but I don't want to, you know?
Brother
So somebody
Schoolboy, I
said,
think
Leah,
if I may,
so hold on, Leah
if I
Bird,
may,
go ahead. Go ahead, Jeff, really quickly, because I wanted to read.
if I may, it'll be very quick.
Go ahead.
This is the way that you deal, and I submit this to you and all the brothers who are listening. This is how you deal with a jealous woman. Women, I suggest you do it a little more tactful than this, but this is how you deal with a jealous man. What you smiling in her face for? Well, I'll give you a choice. Either I'm smiling in her face because I'm low-key flirting with her and I want to hit her from the back as soon as possible, or I'm just being courteous and nice to a sister who has a hard job. A or B depends upon how you feel about you and not me. What would you like to have?
So I understand I think the disciplinarian, even for our actual audience, has said, why are we hooking up with insecure types, men and women, if we have to have a disciplinary problem, according to Leah Bird. But I want to come back to, and I think this is the whole thing, that it's just not Kevin Samuels. I think it's even Steve Harvey, like being cooperative, being submissive, those types of things that we always talk about. These so-called messaging, and even what Kofi said, it has caused so much divisiveness in our community, and it's been going on. So what is that, and how do we start to approach it differently?
Thank you, sir.
I think part of it comes down to what Keith was saying earlier, the ability to, and even Dr. Monica was saying earlier, the ability to take in a message and have your emotions about it. We're all emotional people, right? Have your emotions about it, but still be able to address the message without taking it so personally, thinking that the person's immediate intent, is to hurt your feelings, because that's a whole nother element of I'll use the word dysfunction. Being always on the defense, like you said, implies some sort of trauma. So I may have said that, and from my vantage point and the way that I talk and the way I use words, my entire intent was not to insult you. But when you heard what I said, a lot of people were insulted. That wasn't my intent, and I can apologize for it, but it is what it is. Like, what I said, I think was still valid, and I think we got a chance to discuss it because we're mature enough to do so. Some people can't do that.
But I think
Well, what is
Go ahead,
interesting to
Monica.
me,
And then,
what is
then
interesting to me is that I came forward and said what I heard, and then got the speech about I automatically went there because of, and all of that, and not about the fact that I heard it and said, I actually disciplined myself, right? And said, let me hear and listen to the comment. That's why I wanted to give the brother the opportunity to say, I'm talking in a general sense, because that is not what you displayed in the comment that you made. Like, we cannot be, and maybe it's because I have a teacher background or I am a mother. So my immediate, I'm also a Christian woman. So I know what discipline means. Even the word disciple means to be a follower of, and to be able to put yourself under the order of the cover of, a larger purpose. So I'm very clear linguistically what the word disciple, discipline actually is. She must be a discipline problem. Those words are shocking. I don't think we need to pretend as if they're not shocking. And I don't think the brother came out to insult or harm, but let us react to the shock and give us the opportunity to listen, which I think I displayed. I know I'm not answering your question, Natalie, but I just feel like I needed to come back to that.
And we're gonna move on from that, because I do want us to get through a little. There's a lot more to unpack. You're right, Monica. The women are on display. We are putting ourselves up there. So we do want to be able to really kind of unpack other things besides the disciplinary problem, whatever. I take that as being submissive and cooperative. Correct, gentlemen? Am I wrong?
No, 100%.
No.
What was your question,
Not
Natalie?
exactly.
Yeah,
What was your question?
Not exactly, but go ahead. I mean,
I was going to say,
I can answer that in 10 seconds. That was not about being cooperative. Cooperating implies that we have a mission ahead. That was about walking up peaceful.
Yeah, we're self-control.
That's before we ever leave to cooperate. You must be at peace with yourself on a level that understands that first off, we don't speak on your level. You it's like we speak like dogs, y'all speak like humans. Like, we're that far apart. Like, woman speak is so much more advanced. So it's not the dog. My dog doesn't have to adjust to me. I have to adjust to my dog and understand my dog is not going to go, excuse me, master, I need to micturate right about 7:15. No, she doesn't do that. She goes over and scratches on the door. So I, as the master communicator, must get down to the scratch on the door level because she's never going to do my taxes. She's a dog. The understanding of lower communication is on the woman. It is not on the man because we don't communicate like y'all.
Well,
Okay.
Jeff, I think about it a little differently, and I want to go back to answer your question that
Sure.
what the issue in our relationships are more to do with what Uncle Jeff was just describing is that understanding how we communicate. And to your point, Monica, when we talk about being grown, it's about emotional intelligence to understand the person you're talking to and being able to have that conversation and understand the point that they're using without being automatically triggered to escalate the conversation in a place that's not productive. And I think, Kofi, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's really what you were talking about when it comes to discipline. It's enough to control yourself to say, hey, I'm hearing something that's bothering me, but let me understand exactly where all of this is coming from. And to Uncle Jeff's point, women communicate on a completely different level than men do. You guys are way better at it, and you use generally more words, and you're more in tune with your feelings than we are. But the point is, for us, we have to exercise self-control, because if you see your brother get up and start yelling and throwing stuff, you're going to be triggered just the same way we see you react to something that we say and just using words. And I think that's the whole message of what everybody's been saying on social media and all of this stuff, is really trying to understand, as a Black woman, understand your emotions, be in tune with them, embrace them, but express them in a positive way so you can be heard and understood. Same way for us. We don't get excuse from that either.
Yeah, and you know what? And just to kind of put a cap on it, I know you're
Really
trying to.
quickly, Kofi, because
Yeah,
we got 15
I
minutes.
know,
We got a
and I
lot
want
to
to
get
hear.
through,
Yeah,
and I want to
I want
get
to hear that
through it.
question.
Hurry up. 10 seconds.
Absolutely. I just want to
You
give
got 10.
Dr. Monica her flowers, because she definitely
100%.
acknowledged the fact that she had the emotion and still sat and listened to it and expressed. I appreciate that. But
Yeah.
again, I just agree with the panel. Long story short, I agree with a lot of what the panel's saying.
Okay. All right. So let's get back. I want to get back to, as we move through, because I know Jeff, I know you're married. Majority of us on here are single, with the exception of Jeff. Um, Now that we are at this age, what do we feel? And I asked Anthea earlier. I asked Anthea this earlier. What are your standards, and what do you feel like you deserve in a partner?
From You're asking the men that?
I'm asking everybody that.
Okay.
Because I'm going to go somewhere with this. Go ahead.
What do you feel like you deserve in a partner is a question, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So I think that I deserve in a partner, on a base level, very simply put, I deserve the same respect that I'm going to give to them. I deserve respect. I'm not going to settle for disrespect, right? In really any shape, form, or fashion. We can have disagreements. We can have misunderstandings. But we're not going to be disrespectful to each other. And we're just humans, so we're not going to be perfect. I'm not expecting perfection. I expect that if I'm going to be with a woman for the rest of my life, she might disrespect me at some point. But I would expect her to be aware and acknowledge the disrespect and apologize for it, because it's the same thing that I'm going to expect for myself.
So, Kofi, are you a high value? Do you want a high value woman? Because you consider yourself a high value man?
That's a good question. And yes, I do. But my value system is, of course, based on my values, right?
Right.
And everybody's going to have a different kind of value system. But generally speaking, I'm going to expect a woman to be healthy. And by healthy, I also mean relatively fit. And the reason why that's important to me is because if we have children, I need help. I don't need you to be too tired to do, because I don't get that option when it's time for me to go to work and make the money, right? Mm-hmm. So I need you to be up and active. I need you to be, submissive in a sense, because I need to know that I have a follower in the house with me, not somebody who's trying to lead the ship with me. Because I think Will Smith said it in his book. His dad told him, both of us can't be the leader here. One of us is going to have to lead. And if you want to be the leader, you need to let me know so I can step back. Okay. And I'm not willing to take the step back role in the leadership position in my house.
Okay. All right. Anthea.
Well, I think I mirror some of what Kofi just said. I deserve somebody who's going to give me what I give them. So when I say that, I'm going to give my all in a relationship, and I want that person to give me their all as well. That's vague response, but outside of that, Physical appearance is always something that I prefer.
Mhm.
Fit person, of course. I am not fit myself,
Barely. I
so
don't know what's going on here.
so I need to work
Because
on me in order to get
I
me to the
think
point
it'll
of
I think it'll
fitness
feed
that
back.
I'm going to get that person that's going to mirror what fitness level that I'm going to be at. Um, Education. I need to have somebody that after the sex is done, that we know we could talk about something and we're just not sitting there twiddling our thumbs, not knowing what to talk about. And somebody of influence that, when we travel the world and there is respect all over the world, wherever we are in the household, I'm going to give that respect. So I expect that respect back.
So you do want a high value man.
If that's what you want to
Based
call
on,
it,
let's just saying, I'm saying you want somebody of influence. So you want someone who is of status, and
okay,
but also other things that are more important, like the connection, the chemistry, things like that, the
absolutely, yeah.
spiritual connection. Okay, got it. Monica, Monica, I can see you over there, like
Taking it
giving
all
me
in.
all kinds of eyes.
Exactly.
Oh my Lord, it's
Come
just
on,
so
my
much
sister.
going on. I'm gonna be honest and say I don't know, which is why I'm not looking, which is why I'm satisfied where I am
And,
right now.
and that's it's on their end. I came out and came back in. Now it's fine.
Okay, all right, okay. You don't know. Okay,
I
all right.
haven't figured it out yet.
You haven't figured it
I
out.
had a lifetime of thinking that I knew what I want, but apparently it was viewed as crazy. So,
But you know what, Natalie, what Monica is saying is correct, because we could say today that we want this, and then tomorrow we evolve and change depending on how we grow and where our status has led us. So it changes. It could change.
Right. And I don't believe in high value. I'm just saying somebody of I would, because it's been thrown around all night or all week because of his passing or whatever else. But I think the thing is, it's just like we should know. I feel like we should start to kind of figure out, okay, what hasn't worked for us and what do we desire? So wow,
Yeah, that's a
Michelle.
lot. That's a lot, Michelle.
Yeah.
God is triggered.
I mean,
Okay.
somebody put it in the chat on
Yeah. What is high value?
Facebook about, there was a time when
Come on, Dr.
I
Monica.
just
Somebody
lost my
said,
thought.
tell
I
the
just
truth.
lost my thought.
You read the
Sorry.
comment, didn't you?
Tennessee
Yeah,
Williams,
no, it was a
girl,
lot.
don't be conceited. Be cool.
No,
Go ahead.
don't
It
pay
Go
was a
ahead.
attention
lot.
to the
Jeff,
comment.
I hope Jeff, because you
No,
mad at me.
I
I want Keith to
just
know. I want Keith to answer. But go ahead. Go
Yeah.
ahead,
go
Keith.
ahead.
Yeah, I
I
was gonna
lost
say.
my
So I
train of
was gonna
thought.
help you out, my New Orleans sister. I mean, I think that when you talk about what do you want or what do I want specifically, it's I hate to use the term high value, but it's high value to me. So meaning that having a person that, like we talked about initially, first you got to be emotionally intelligent. You got to be able to hold your own in a conversation. You got to have some personality. You got to be able to match my energy or at
Yeah.
least elevate my energy on some level. And when I say that, meaning that in a relationship, to me, we should match each other and we should elevate each other to be our best selves in every way, shape, and form. So
Yes.
I think that's one of the important things. And I think to what we get caught up in today's society is what economic status somebody has, what
Mhm.
somebody else is able to bring in that stuff, which is great if that's what your needs are. But when we talk about, like Monica, what you said, you don't know what you want. And I think if you took time to fundamentally look at what you need, those things really haven't changed a whole lot. And when I say that, the reason why I'm saying that is wants is something I want to eat right now. I got a taste for you know, veganized. I got a taste for a steak. But what I
Sometimes,
need,
or you want to
exactly,
burn.
right. I may want a burger.
Sometimes you
But
want to keep it plant based. Yes.
yeah, exactly. But it's really to me about understanding the fact that I'm hungry, not the fact that I need to eat a burger. And I think that's the part that we don't take time to really understand and separate out what's immediate that I can get right away versus what really is going to feed my soul.
Yeah, yeah. Jeff, what did you
Yes.
decide? So I want to know, but Jeff, instead of I want you to just get a little personal before you. I know because you be spitting, you be dropping jewels,
Uncle Jeff
but
be preaching.
right. But tonight, because you're newly. How long you been married to your current wife?
May 19th will be 10 years.
Okay, so we're at the age where you got married to. We're all of us are like in our late 40s or early 50s.
Mm-hmm.
So
No,
what were you
I
looking for?
was in my 40s. What's
Okay, so
that? My
you were
early 40s.
47,
Early
48.
40s.
You were
Yeah,
early
about 47,
47.
46. We,
That's
yeah.
late. That's mid 40s to late, but it's all good. It's the
Okay.
same thing.
Okay.
Okay, but so at that age, what were you looking for? What was it in her that made you be like, this, she's it?
I think it was first, you don't get what you don't get what you deserve. You get what you negotiate.
Mm.
Number two, you get your lesson. Relationships are lessons. Unless you learn them, you start over in a class with the next person that comes to you.
So what was your
Until
lesson with
you,
her? What was your lesson with
my
her?
lesson, the lessons that I had learned was one, the size of my love container. I have a 55-gallon drum love container. I kept trying to pour all of that into people who had 16-ounce glasses, a couple of 2-liter bottles, and all my extra love would do was make a mess.
What was it? Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So when I found somebody who was willing to try to beat me in a contest daily, to outlove one another, a person who went first to understanding and denied society's white noise, denied her impulses, that has her first time to close her fists with me like that in any conversation. I could take her to the Oval Office or a dice game. She represented peace to me. Her peace model was beautiful, and she knew exactly what it was. Most women that you ask now, what is your peace model? They don't have an answer for you.
Okay.
She did. And because she did, I really wasn't looking to get married no more. I had lost two 6 pieces of property, 7 cars, $350,000 cash. I was done. I'm okay. Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. I get it. I don't want to do this anymore. But it is because she showed up after I told me that I would not accept anything less than excellence in my life to start with me. I started with me. Okay. And I remembered the lessons I learned, and that's how she showed up. And that's how I believe that we magnetize one another to a situation. And I don't believe that there's any other way to create a situation, especially as a Black female over the age of 45. You're going to have to magnetize a man to you.
Okay. Gentlemen, ladies, the magnetize. So it's so funny. I was talking to someone yesterday, and they was just like, you need to have the fit conversation. You need to have certain things like that y'all really do need to be aware of at this age, and because it's not about just looks, it's about health. And I was like, how important really is looks, education, economics, and relationships at this point? How important is all of that?
It depends who you talk to. Communication and education, regardless, whether the two of you are trying to figure out time travel or writing on a cave wall with a lump of coal, you have to communicate. You have to find a middle ground where it is that you communicate. And the further off your education is on the surface, the further away that communication gap is. But when you get rid of all of that and go into I have no idea what this is for.
That's the code to get your computer. I got
Definitely gonna come back.
Okay. Yes, you don't if you don't communicate on that higher level,
Yep.
that's like, let's just say one of you speaks Spanish and the other speaks Chinese. Man, you better be in touch with your real self.
Yep.
You better not be playing, because you don't have nouns and verbs to cover up your bovine feces at that point. You better be honest with you, because that's all a relationship is an opportunity to see yourself and show
Go
yourself.
ahead, Anthony. Oh, thank you, Jeff. Go ahead, Anthony.
So one of the things I keep hearing getting thrown around is somebody that's fit, somebody
Thank you,
that's
brother.
healthy, uh, and they're talking about health from a perspective of longevity, from a perspective of bearing kids, things like that. But don't we also want that person to be like aesthetically beautiful as well? I mean, that's the number one reason why I believe men would like a nice fit young wife or whatever. Um, the aesthetics mean a lot. I mean, men are visual, we know that.
Yeah.
And
Let's
so
make no mistake
why are
about
we
that.
not saying that?
No,
Well, hold on. Let me say something about that aesthetic. Here's the thing about a woman who's beautiful, right? Say, for instance, a woman is beautiful, but again, she has issues with her personality. I'll take an ugly chick who
You will not.
no, I will. I will. Trust me. I've taken them for the team for a minute. I'm not a
You're
discriminatory.
not
minute.
writing her though.
Come on, man. Nobody gets to be ugly. Nobody gets to be ugly, because
And
that
here's
would
the other
make
thing.
people
And
feel bad.
here's the other thing. Here's the other thing about men. I feel like this is true about men. If we're with you for long enough, we'll find the things about you that we think are cute.
Woo.
You know what I mean? And ain't nobody gonna be able to tell me, walk up to me and tell me your girl is ugly. No, the hell she not. She might be ugly to me in my mind, but you ain't gonna get to say it to me or her. So
Right.
you know what
Yeah,
I'm
what
saying?
you said,
Nobody else
Kofi.
is gonna know that my girl is ugly, and you better keep it to yourself.
Yeah, and I think what you said, Kofi, is 100% true. But I think where the women are going is to understand that what we're initially attracted to is somebody that's pleasing to the eye. And you're right. And to Monica's point, when you're looking at social media, you're looking at all of this stuff, you would swipe what is it left in a heartbeat if you're not feeling how that person looks versus taking time to get to know them. And I think that's the real conversation that we're not having, is that we are visual creatures. And yes, no matter what we say, no matter what we talk about, having arm candy still matters. Don't make a mistake about that.
It does.
But
It does, unless the arm candy
guys,
is a disciplinary problem.
guys,
Go ahead. Go ahead, Jeff.
But I agree
I
with you,
think
Kofi, though.
I think we're leaving something out.
What's that, Jungle?
Couple of things. Number one, show of hands. Who's seen any fat, ugly Chippendale dancers? Any fat, ugly black male strippers? So let's knock off that it's just aesthetics for men. You women are the only reason we
No.
wash our cars, cut our hair. We do that for y'all. Don't nobody want to be with somebody that don't nobody want to look at.
Right.
You know what? Also,
What is real
excuse
quick?
me,
What I
I'm
think,
sorry.
what I think the issue is here is that you cannot say that I'm out the game because there's women that look better than me. I'm out the game because all men are superficial. Because of those reasons and those things and those ideas, and that they may be true, that means you don't get to count your cute. You're going to have to deal with your nice. You're going to have to deal with your peaceful. You're going to have to deal with your earthy. You're going to have to deal with feeding whatever earth suit you were given, and exercising whatever earth suit you were given, and meditating and resting it and dressing it in your best self. And that is much scarier than having to deal with a 26-year-old that you think we are after. If you are your best self,
Right.
your man can't help, he will run to you.
Right. You know what? One other thing I wanted to. I'm sorry.
So
go ahead.
wait. Okay. Because we really do because I do want the women to. I see. This is what happens. The brothers be giving us all kinds of advice, and I'm not saying advice, but giving us your perspective. I do want to make sure that my sisters are able to speak their piece. So Monica, I want you to kind of, because there's a lot that has been said, but I do want to come back to the original question about just how, and I know these things are not, I'm not going to say they're not important, but I want to talk about the importance and how has it affected you in being, what have been the effects of it, of being singleness, being a southern sister living in New York City, and how has it played out?
What's the question?
I think I asked like how important are looks and education economics in the relationship?
Not very.
Not. Mm, okay. All right.
Because I think that people are so much more. And you can have all of that, and in an instant, it's
It's
taken
gone.
from you.
Mm-hmm.
So you
Yep.
need to be able, those things may make you attract, but we've all heard those situations also where you've been around someone who wasn't initially attractive to you, but it's either because you go the same way in your commute each day, or you work together, or you just finally said, okay, what's the problem with, coffee? And you go out and have a fabulous time. I'm not someone that, um, you know, the last guy I was with asked me, was he my type? And I'm like, I couldn't even answer that. The first one, it was a strange question um, to me. But the other thing was, if I were going to name a type, I probably wouldn't have listed out the characteristics that would have embodied him. But what was attractive to me was the way that he approached me. And I said, and I'm not going to even make it an age thing. I just said, I'm going to be open, meet people from all different, you know, whatever. I think that's a sign of maturity. Like, I don't see necessarily people that have a list. He got to have this, he got to have that, or whatever. They single too.
Right.
So I don't see that necessarily working. And to be quite honest, part of the reason why this whole high value thing is problematic for me or whatever, because if you take any one of us and start listing out all of the things that make us, our value will go up or down, right? So there's individuals that we don't know, what to do with. I'm
Mm-hmm.
overweight. I'm a single parent, been in bad relationships, but I also make good money. I am cute. Ain't nobody gonna tell me I'm not. Um, I have degrees, I'm funny to be around, so on and so forth. So if the value meter right now is like, I don't know what to do with this person, right? So I tend to, it's not so much what people say. One is who's saying it,
Mm-hmm.
how it's being said, when it's being said. I had someone that I was in a relationship um, with say to me, and I need you to hear this, you have to lose some weight. He's like, don't get me wrong, I like all of that. But if I'm being honest, if I want to be with you long term or whatever, we're going to take some of this weight off,
Yep.
right? So it wasn't about me getting skinny. Wasn't about in order to be with me, you have to, do whatever. Too much wouldn't go into detail in this format or whatever. That relationship just did not happen. Like, it did not close the loop up because of circumstances that weren't within my control. So that's why I'm really I key into personality, because I also know that here's my type: Black man, number one, right? And then because that is what I want, I know there's a whole lot contributing to what he has and what he does not have, right? So I rather listen to that man's um, story and his hopes and dreams, and that to me is more important, because I don't feel like we keep talking about at this stage in life as if, you know.
Mm-hmm. Right. You're right. You're right.
And
Yeah.
I'm just like, and I catch myself sometimes or whatever, but it takes an older person to say, girl, you could have a good 30, 40, or whatever, more than somebody that's been with someone in their 20s and they're already divorced from that person or otherwise separated or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
There's one more thing I just wanted to quickly say about the terminology high value that's kind of triggering, or why it may be triggering to some people. It goes back to slavery, when you had, well, we talked about
Absolutely.
this earlier, when
Right.
you had slaves that you had lined up to say, which was the biggest, the strongest, the fittest, and they're the ones that were more high valued, and
based
the slave owners picked.
based on
You
their
know,
value to the community, right?
so that was, I think that terminology is triggering because of that as well.
Right. And the ranking of us and like, oh, her ass is tight. Da 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 da. It told it. I think that's a lot of it. And like I said, the trauma of Black women's aesthetics and who we are and the
But
choices and the stigmas that go along with it has always allowed us to be like, that's why it becomes trauma, but it also is some things we have to address. Thank you, Monica, because I think that is key, like the whole conversation with your partner, the person that you want a relationship with, and having the conversation about, we need to kind of get some of this weight off for health and all the other things. I
I
want
mean, what we're really talking about is implicit bias, right? When
right.
we have biases around height, shape,
I'm
education,
sorry.
etc.,
Yeah.
that makes us
No,
make decisions about
Yes. Go
who we
ahead.
want to be
Go,
with.
yeah, go, gentlemen.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give you. Go ahead, Jeff. Jeff, you're famous. Go ahead.
the man.
Go
I'm
ahead,
trying.
Jeff.
I'm doing sweet Lord.
Go.
Okay. First, let's start here. Let's stop bouncing around. In order to blame high value on being triggered from slavery, this would mean that every Black person that was triggered by that never saw the movie 300. There's a man in that movie by the name of Ephialtes. He is the grossly deformed Spartan that was not thrown against the rocks by his mother, which is why he even existed.
Okay.
He was not considered high value among the Spartans, not because he was deformed, not because he was not trained with them, but purely because he could not raise his sword, his shield, to shield the man to his left, which was the series of their strength. High value, as put by Kevin Samuels, I disagree with some of it, but it is a barometer. The concept of value upsets people who deep down know they have a questionable amount of it.
Yeah.
The concept of value, let's get it out of the way right now, sisters. How about Uncle Jeff starts a high value woman list that we can all agree with? Can we do that?
Can we do it quick? Because we got about a minute left.
Sure. Number one, the ability to face her own flaws directly, publicly, with absolutely no backpedaling or tangent grenades.
Number two.
Okay, number two, So anybody got a problem with that one?
No, go ahead too. Come
No
on, you
problem
got
with that one.
Jeff,
Okay,
you
number two,
literally got
the
2
ability,
seconds.
the ability to walk into the ability to walk into a situation that is chaotic and make it peaceful with her presence, as opposed to the reverse. Number three, the ability to turn me on and make love to me fully dressed at 2 in the afternoon in a crowded restaurant. Those things make. Number four, the ability to restrain from using the word degree when we are not talking about Freemasons, weather, or deodorant.
Okay. And number 5, you have a 5. That's it.
And number five, the ability to know exactly when to either take the lead or let me, and it's not a knife fight.
Okay. Thank you, Uncle Jeff. Thank you, Uncle Jeff. Uh Final thoughts. Kofi, I'm gonna give everybody just a second. Thank you, Uncle Jeff, for
Sure.
your top 5.
Sure. Really quick, just to address the idea or the preference for having somebody who's fit. Myself, I'm licensed life insurance agent. I've seen a lot of different situations in terms of end of life, even planning for that. My consideration is I know that I'm going to keep myself to a certain level of health. Like I'm maintaining a certain weight, trying to get my weight down at the current moment. But if my blood pressure is spiking and stuff like that, I don't want that. So I know for me, I don't want to be a burden on my spouse in those later years. I don't want her to be a burden on me in those later years, as much as we can, keep away from it. So being healthy is important to me for those reasons, right? Her being like pretty and stuff, she's gonna get old and she's not gonna look that attractive anymore. So I don't really care that she's not like super pretty and stuff like that. But as far as a value system, everything in this world, we're human beings with brains. We categorize and we assign value to things. So if I'm going to war, I don't want to just have a penknife. I want to have a assault rifle. There's a higher value on that assault rifle than there is on a penknife. So us acting like value isn't a thing. Like we can't do that. It's just not realistic.
All right. Keith, I'm gonna let the ladies close it out, but Keith.
Oh, and closing thoughts. I mean, it kind of goes back to what we've been talking about, and just the one message that I want to make sure is clear is that number one, know yourself. Take the time out to not be triggered by the first reaction that you have to something, and listen to what people have to say, both men and women. That goes for both. And then own your shit. If you want a certain thing, own that. If you care about a certain thing, own that. If you know you need to lose weight, own that. If you know your health is an issue, own that. But know your value to yourself first, and know your value to what you bring to others in your community. To me, that's it. And I think that determines value. Not only supply and demand, but just knowing your own shit and owning it is the part that we all need to do.
Okay, thank you.
I,
Dr. White, your final thoughts.
Oh, God, I don't know. I'm just grateful to have been a participant in this conversation. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Dr. White. Anthea?
Well, yes. Just gonna put it out there. If you have a yacht, that's what I want. So, I value or not, I need the yacht.
There you go. See, owning your shit.
On a beach
Own your
house.
shit.
Own your shit, sunshine. That's what's up.
The most important thing is, it's just like, I think as women, and I'm speaking for myself, is to be accountable for our choices. For whatever we chose or whoever we chose to be with, understand that, learn from that, and hopefully heal from that, so it doesn't go into whether you are single and you choose to remain single, or you choose to meet someone and they may be your life partner. Just be accountable and be able to be honest, because that's, to me, the point of vulnerability and being open is always have it. See y'all in the after party. Talk to y'all next time.
It was a great time,
next
though.
week. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Uncle Jeff. Thank you, Kofi. Thank you, Keith. Thank you, Dr. White. And thank you, Anthea. I'll see y'all soon.
think you civilized in the brain, but you ill-advised in the lane, and you realize you a lame, and you walking and talk the same as the people that killed your fathers and fathers and mothers of our melanated brothers and sisters and even others. They took the language you spoke, took the name that you came with by time you loaded the boat. They left your shit with the shipping and shifted the way you cope, the way that you cope with shit that you dealing with, losing hope. But what is hope but the shit that they gave?
Good afternoon. I just wanted to communicate a friendly reminder that you are definitely the shit, dope shit, king shit. Cannot wait to hear the next single. Bouquet bra.
Yeah. You think you civilized in the brain, but you ill-advised in the lane, and you realize you a lame, and you walking and talk the same as the people that killed your fathers and fathers and mothers of our melanated brothers and sisters and even others. They took the language you spoke, took the name that you came with by time you loaded the boat. They left your shit with the shipping and shifted the way you cope, the way that you cope with shit that you dealing with, losing hope. But what is hope but the shit that they gave us in books they wrote, and everything that was written was just the shit that they stole from the temples in Africa, history that's untold. I chose to go toe to toe with the bogusness as I flow. Who knows the future we hold is the road that we walk unfolds. Choosing a different path in the aftermath with an active class, and the active class and the active path that I chose is a path that came from the past. Free at last, free at last. They walk, they talk, they are faking. I wonder where they've been taken. They have no soul, they are vacant. No longer they are themselves, and it's just the flesh animated. And nobody can help them because the brain is sedated. So I had to learn that we can't take them for face value. Can't take them for face value. Volume. Just pump up the volume. I predict that you can find the path and get where it goes. I predict that even if you forget, you'll be lit to then know. I predict that most of us are close enough to let go of self-doubt, leave out, left out, step out, flex and grow. I predict that you can see what I predict, and we predict the same thing. I predict that most of us live isolate cause we see the insane. I be talking my shit, but I am not perfect. I am the victim of my conflict, but I fit the mission. I'm wishing that you don't take me for face value. Don't take me for face value. Can't take things for face value. Just pump up the volume. Just pump up the volume.
Stacked After Hours, The Spot. Where grown men and women gather to have candid, also honest discussions about the state of life, love, and more. The Spot is a hybrid of in-person and weekly virtual gatherings. Join our Facebook group and answer our daily questions. Subscribe to our YouTube for our weekly live talk shows and join us on Zoom for our talk show after parties for lively conversations with other opinionated, grown, and sexy professionals. Just search, like, follow, and subscribe to Stack After Hours on Facebook groups and YouTube. Also like and follow our brand pages at Be Stacked Wellness on Facebook and IG. So wherever you are, at home or abroad, pull out your laptop, tablet, or smartphone and join in the conversation with the members of Stacked After Hours, The Spot, by Be Stacked Wellness. See you there.
As you know, and if you are new to the Stacked family, we always keep our conversations lit and enlightening.